So if you think about what you actually are, you are this highly elaborate, complex network of relationship. And so if Christ is the deepest part of you that fundamentally knows its connection with all things, then the only way for it to get brought to the surface, the only way for it to become actualized is through relationship. It's through relationship. So the way that consciousness evolves, the pattern that it's using, is it evolves through continually expanding its capacity to function within relationship. Okay? This is the pattern, this is the algorithm that it's using. And we can literally see this in the way that biological life evolves. Okay? Because let's look at this. This becomes really obvious when you actually look at it. Let's look at life on Earth, okay? Life on Earth started out as this little single-celled organism. This very little simple network of relationship. Very simple little organelle system, very simple interaction with its environment, this very binary yes-no type of interaction. And it didn't even need another cell to reproduce. It reproduced asexually, which meant whenever it was time to make a baby cell, it just kind of goes, whoop, all by itself. Just kind of like poops one out. Wouldn't that simplify our lives by like 98%? You know? Get rid of that aspect of your brain and see what you can focus on, right? And then so once this little network, this little system finds a certain level of balance and homeostasis within itself, then it expands its capacity for relationship. And its little organelle system gets slightly more complex. Its interactions with its environment get slightly more complex. And before you know it, now 2 cells are coming together to make a baby cell. And we're producing sexually now. That's a big deal. Little cell celibacy gets broken. The party is on, right? Yeah. So this pattern continues. And then we get multicellular organisms. And we get things like plants and insects and fish and amphibians and reptiles and birds and mammals. And then eventually we get human beings, right? This incredibly developed, highly complex network of interrelationship. And if you look at the qualities that make us most evolved, our intellect, our creativity, our wide capacity for emotional experience and expression. The only reason why we've been graced with these gifts is so that we can navigate the nuances of these highly evolved networks of relationship. Okay. Does this make sense? Yeah. So the pattern that consciousness is using to evolve, it's continually expanding its ability to operate within relationship. Okay. And in recognizing this pattern and how life moves forward, we can see this repetitive motif playing out in this physical universe. Right? And whenever we see these repetitive patterns, there's a reason why they repeat. Okay? It's typically a reflection of a higher spiritual truth. So in looking at how biological life evolves, we can glean insight into how we evolve spiritually. So if experience is this giant interplay of relationship, and if consciousness evolves through relationship, then if we take spirituality and distill it down to its core, spirituality is essentially the mastery of relationship. It's the mastery of relationship. And the only way to achieve mastery of a relationship is through the power of love. So let's look at love now. That's the pattern, that's the algorithm, that's the first ingredient. Let's look at love. The light wants to look at love too. Something is agreeing with me. So I'm just going to be honest, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to be honest.
We'll take it.
Most people on this planet have no idea what love actually is. They do a lot of things in the name of love, but it's not actually love. Where they'll act from a place of insecurity or addiction or doubt, or they'll just act from the default of their conditioning, and they'll masquerade their behavior under the guise of love. When in reality, it has absolutely nothing to do with what love actually is. So part of the dilemma that we're faced with is figuring out what is love and what is not love. So I'm going to offer something to help us tease this apart.